Hi guys, welcome back to Cincinnati Fishing. I'm John and I'm going to talk about some different types of topwater baits today. Different baits that I have confidence in. Kind of run through some of them and how I fish them. This time of the year the topwater baits go start coming alive. It's a great time to pick up fish up in the shallows, around docks, brush piles, laydowns, things of that nature. First off, we're going to cover the Megabass Pop Max, and then this is pretty much the Pop Max Junior. Traditional popper style baits. You can see I keep them in a shad color. Both of these happen to be an exact same color. One of the nice things I like about the Megabass lip, not only does it give you that great pop, 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 pop sound, it also gives you a little bit of that splashy sound, or kind of that sound with that mouth. I don't know how well you can see those little slots that it has in the mouth, but water's allowed to pass through that. I do fish this as a traditional popper, and I'll walk the dog style with this. Great bait for either presentation. Again, that's the Megabass Pop Max, and of course the smaller size. Staying along the lines of a popper, guys that are looking to spend a little less money. I haven't thrown this one yet, but this one happens to be the Lunker Hunt popper. Got that same mouth to it. This is in a frog shaped body. I think this will work great around grass, probably around lilies, things of that nature. Also from Megabass, Lunker Hunt is also a more traditional style popper. I have thrown this one quite a bit. It doesn't have as great of the loud pop, but it does work really well. Great budget friendly. You know, these are under $5, guys. You can't beat that versus like the Megabass that are 15, 20 bucks a piece. Stay more on top. One of the newer ones that I've been throwing, a couple different sizes, guys. This is the Gary Yamamoto. I think he calls it the tape pencil. I throw it in both sizes. You can see far extreme. I go big, trying to find the biggest bass in a pond. If they're not willing to commit to the bigger bait, I do come back and throw the smaller bait. I keep it simple, guys, with my colors. You'll see a lot of shad color, whites. Now again, shad color. This one stands out a little bit better, gives a lot of flash. Great rattle system in all of these. Each one of these top water walk the dog style baits, they're all pretty similar. The difference is the different sound that they're going to throw off. They're all going to have pretty much the same type of action. This one happens to be the Strike King. I believe this is the KVD Sexy Dog. Again, budget friendly price, guys. These are not, they're under 10 bucks. It's got a great rattle system, great action when you walk it. Again, kind of that sexy shad color. I don't move away too much from that shad color. More natural colors, it seems to do the best for me. Great for largemouth, smallmouth. I love throwing the walk the dog style baits through some fast moving current. Catch a lot of striper on them. Keep along that same lines on a top water walk the dog style. A little bit higher dollar bait is the Megabass Diamante. Great rattle. It's got a different tone to it when it coming through the water. Again, staying with that shad colored bait. You know, firing that bait up in there, getting your cadence down, getting that walk the dog style. It's a great bait. I've caught a lot of nice largemouth on that. Then the old trusty standby. I've caught fish on the good old Head and Zara Spook for a long time. This one has caught quite a few nice largemouth. It's caught some really big stripers for some of the small rivers I'm fishing. 10, 15 pound striper, they'll come up and hammer that. In the mornings when it's a little slicker, I can slow it down, walk the dog a little bit slower. Seems to work a little bit better, and that fast moving current gives the fish a little bit time to come in. Another old school staple that really works well. Some of you guys may remember this, some of you may not. This is one of the original devil horses. God, I probably bought this bait. Actually, my father probably bought this bait in the early 80s, mid 80s sometime. Probably when it first come out. You can see it's got some wear on it. Some of that's hook wear. Unfortunately, it might need to get a new paint job. This one's more of a keepsake lure anymore than it is for anything else. But the Devil's Horse, that double prop blade, definitely gets bit. One of the ones that gets overlooked a lot anymore, but it's an old good standby, again from Heddon, is the Tiny Spook, I believe is what they called it. It's got a prop in the back. You can rip this through. It's not as easily to walk the dog with it. You can if you get the cadence down right. Great little bait, overlooked a lot. On the top again, newer bait that's come out in the past couple of years is that River to Sea Whopper Popper. This one's in a 130 size. I throw the 130, the 110, and the 90. They all get bit in my area. This one happens to be in bone. I do like to add on a little barrel swivel to the front. This one doesn't have it on there yet, but I've noticed when I add that barrel swivel, keeps some of the line twist out, keeps the bait from wanting to completely roll up front, and just allow that back blade to pop like it's supposed to. Great bait. If you're not throwing a Whopper Plopper yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. That bait just flat out gets bit. The 130 is not too big. I think the next size up is the 180. The 180 gets bit as well. I don't have any of the 180s, but I've seen a lot of people catch them on a 180. I'm going to keep this kind of on the surface too, in a crankbait line. This one happens to be the Rick Clunn bait. The name's escaping me right now. Lucky Craft. It's a wake bait. I consider these kind of your top water action too. I was just throwing a wake bait around on the ponds looking for them spawning bass, or bass in my little pond that I fish religiously. They're still not spawning yet, but I was looking for them up in the shallows. Great to run this through that shallow water. Keep it right underneath the surface, keeps you up off the snags. Two-piece jointed body. It's great action through the water. This bait has caught more fish than I even can remember how many it's caught. It flat gets bit. That's the Lucky Craft Rick Clunn series wake bait. I'm not sure if the exact name on that bait. Also along that wake bait line, one of the ones I've been throwing a lot, was just throwing a lot, is that Yo-Zuri Hardcore. They call this one a surface crank. And it runs just like the any of your other traditional wake baits. A little bit more budget friendly. Guys, if you watch Dick's, some of the other places you'll find these baits on specials. I think I bought a few of these when they were 3 for $10. One of the Dick's that I went to actually started clearancing these out already. And I think that's what I was going to do. I stopped at one Dick's. I seen they were 3 for $10. They didn't have the colors I wanted. I went to another one. They had them on clearance. And I picked up 3 or 4 of them on clearance. I think I ended up 4 for $8 or something along that lines. They were clearancing them out pretty quick. Some of the gear that I throw most of your top water action on, I've been throwing it on a standard medium rod. I'll get that rod out for you. I've got it right here. It's already tied up with a Hardcore Double X crank. This one's got 15-pound mono on it. It's a St. Croix Mojo Bass Crankster. Great cranking rod. I got it paired up with a Bantam Corrado 5:4 ratio, the old greenie. I use a lot of the greenies. Nothing wrong with that gear ratio. The only bad thing about it is if you're fishing soft plastics and things of that nature, if the bass is running towards you, of course it takes you quite a bit to pick that slack up and stick them. I really haven't experienced too much problems with that. But that Megabass Crankster, I like that bend that has on it. This one I've replaced a few guides on it, guys. Not the best job in the world, but it works. I bought this rod and I got a great deal on it. He didn't like it anymore because it was kind of wore out. I like that because it's got that soft tip. It keeps those trebles pinned and allows a lot of square bills If you're throwing square barrels at a wake bait, that allows them to deflect and move on. I will throw those some of these baits on straight braid, especially when I know I'm in some real heavy junk. I don't want to be able to get those bass out of it. Most of the time, if I'm throwing straight braid, except for in a local pond today when I was just walking around throwing a spinnerbait and other things that I throw straight braid on, and I tie one on, I don't worry about tying on a leader. I'm not going to tie on leaders and switch out leaders, go back and forth all day long when I'm switching out lures. It's a lot easier for me when I'm pond hopping just to carry one rod. Usually I try to make up my mind ahead of time. If I'm throwing a crankbait, I grab my crankster. If I'm throwing a straight braid, I do have an old school Invincible. Again, it's got a real soft tip. It's a medium action rod. This one's got 65-pound Power Pro. Again, it's got the old Bantam Corrado CU200. This one's got a Mullock spinnerbait on it. That's what I finished up the day with over there on the pond. Great rod's got a real nice soft tip, great parabolic. Once I stick a fish with those, either one of those rods, I tend to stay pinned. Really good setups. One of the things you want to keep in mind, guys, when you're fishing all these different top waters, cadence can be really critical. Cadence can be the difference between that bait walking correctly, making a proper sound that it's designed to put off, and the difference between you catching fish. Don't always throw them out and try to speed reel them and we're working fast. Told you I was throwing the Head and Zara Spook in heavy current. Yeah, I was fishing the Whitewater River. If anybody's ever been out by the Whitewater River, there's a lot of fast current. I'd fire this bad boy up against the bank and I would work it just like it was slick water with that current. And those striper could not resist it. Stuck a couple nice smallmouth in the mix with that. That day I just happened to be catching a lot of striper. So guys, you're fishing for multi-species. A lot of these topwater baits will stick a lot of nice striper. Great bait. Anyway guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will pay attention to that and try to answer them. If you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like what you're seeing, hit the like button. If you have any suggestions, drop that below. Again, I'm trying to cover a lot of different species type fishing. I don't want to just strictly bass fish. I grew up fishing everything. I'm going to have a little bit of a video coming out soon too on crappie fishing. I got a catfishing video coming up. Got a bunch of different things coming up, guys. Stay tuned and thanks again for watching.